Alright, hi guys. This is sort of weird, but I had a few people ask me if I would show them how to tie these bows that I had taken a picture of last night, so I thought I would show you, kind of talk a little bit about what I use. I like, first of all, to tie bows, for me, I prefer ribbon that has a wire edge. It just holds its shape better. Certainly you can use anything else, but this one is the ribbon I prefer to put bows on trees or on the wreaths or on my presents, just because they're easier to work with. This particular ribbon came from Costco. I mean, I'm sure we all love Costco. You can see the Kirklands. This was a great value for your money, 50 yards for $6.99, which is a pretty amazing cost. This particular ribbon is kind of a satiny, silky satiny, and it's two-sided, which is cool, but it does create a little bit of a challenge when you're tying a bow, but I can kind of show you that whole process. So all I've done so far is I've wrapped this present, and I just did your typical, you know, like crisscross in the back and put this like this in the front. This doesn't really matter because you're going to attach the bow to it. And then you can either make this kind of part of the present, or you can cut them. I can kind of show you that in just one second. Another thing that I like to also do with my supplies is I make sure that I keep two types of scissors. I keep one that I only cut paper with, and then I like to keep a pair that I only cut the ribbon with. I know that sounds really like anal and OCD, but it's really important because the paper tends to dull your scissors, and you really want a sharp edge so as not to fray your ribbon when you're cutting it. So it's kind of like, I try not to mix my scissors, and you know, after a while you do have to kind of sharpen them and watch, because this wire edge does kind of dull them, but for the most part I try to keep that just a ribbon. So you've got your present here. You're going to take your bow, actually your ribbon material, and you're going to kind of measure out kind of what size bow that you want. So I would say this is a pretty good size for this present, and you just kind of eyeball it, okay? And so you just kind of tuck, you know that you want this size here. You're going to tuck this end part in, and you're going to kind of flip it so that you have this loose end at the top. And that's kind of important at the very end so that it kind of is secure. This is super easy. I know you guys are like, oh, sure it is. So all I've done was I took and measured my loop. This is kind of over the top, and your cut edge is going to be at the top up here that you're holding. Then you simply take this ribbon, and you're going to make about 6 loops right around each other, and they're all going to be about the same size. Okay, so you've got your ribbon, you're going to make this loop. So that's 1, and I'm going to come around and just kind of make sure it's all the same size. And now I'm at 2. You know, you just kind of roll it up. This will be 3. Got loop 4. Sorry, and it does kind of get twisted when you work with it, but you just straighten it back out. And that's 5, and I'm on my last one, as you can see here. And this will be 6. And I come all the way back down to the bottom here, and then I'm just gonna cut it pretty even with the bottom edge so that they're all about the same size, okay? So I'm gonna take my ribbon scissors, and I'm going to cut it just right along the edge. Again, it doesn't really matter because you can play with that or tuck it underneath. So now I have this kind of a stack of ribbon that's just been looped around each other, okay? So then you're going to kind of smooth it out. The next part is you just simply fold it in half. You're going to fold it in half like this, only so that you can mark exactly kind of where the center is, okay? So I've kind of made it like you know, like a hamburger fold. And then I'm gonna open it back up again, and so you can kind of see that crease, and that's just to simply mark where you're gonna make a cut in this ribbon. So you make this cut. So then I'm gonna take the scissors, And you're not going to go all the way. You just want to cut a slit in each side on that bent edge, okay? So I'm on one side, and it's kind of thick, so you got to be a little bit strong, but you got to also be careful not to cut too deep, okay? So you can see, basically I've just cut a slit in this side. And then I'm going to do the same thing where I marked the other side, okay? Okay, and I'm going to cut just a little bit more. Feels like I didn't get this side very good. And again, it doesn't really matter what it looks like because you're not going to see this part of it. Okay, so when you're done, it'll look something like this with that slit, okay, here. And then you'll have a slit on this side. Now you're going to take a kind of this, it really doesn't matter what color. I just had black because you really won't see it. This is a 1/4 inch, so you're going to take a smaller ribbon, and all you do is you're going to kind of wrap it around that pile that you just cut, and you're going to feed this ribbon into that slit that you just created with your scissors. And I did kind of cut mine a little bit double, so it's kind of hard when you're trying to be perfect and show somebody else how to do something. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm doing here in just one second. So I took this ribbon and I just fed it through the slit, just like this, as you can see. And then I'm just gonna tie it in a knot. So I'm gonna tie a couple knots. You wanna make sure you leave enough length that you can actually tie it onto the present. So I'm gonna tie once and pull it real tight, so it kind of makes it look like a bow tie. So I did that once, and it's just a simple, you know, over-under knot. Okay, so then when I'm finished here, as you can see, you know, it kind of makes this little bow tie. So then you're just going to take your scissors, kind of, I always work with, when I work with ribbon, I leave one side attached to the spool of ribbon just so I don't cut. It's hard for me to make sure it's the right measurement, so I usually just leave it attached. So now you got this thing that kind of looks like a bow tie. You just want to take your knot and flip the knot to the bottom side. And now you're going to take this creation you've made and you're going to pull apart and twist. And there's really no science to it other than you kind of eyeball, you know, what you want it to look like. So you just start taking it apart, and those slits that you made created the capability of the ribbon to just kind of move and form some cool looking like loops. And so I just start pulling it apart and twisting and pulling apart and twisting until it looks the way I want it to. Now this particular ribbon is two-sided, so an extra cool effect on this one is you could just start pulling it and flipping it the other way so that you could see the insides. And again, you just keep pulling it apart and fluffing it and twisting. Twist and pull. You're gonna twist and pull until it starts to kind of, you know, make clearly like this bow formation. And I always just do one whole side and then switch to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna clip it. Okay, you're still pulling apart and twisting. Now the cool thing about these is that you can also use these to create, you know, if you want to put something on a wreath, you know, they're great for presents. Okay, so I've twisted and pulled apart, and again, you just keep doing it till it looks kind of the way that you want it to look. And you will have these loose ends in there just because they were already loose in your creation. Okay, so kind of have this finished. And again, I would probably keep twisting and pulling, but for time's sake, you guys have already been with me like 10 minutes and you're thinking to yourself, oh, sure, it's easy. She just spent like 10 minutes making this. But I do make a few at a time, and it goes much quicker when you don't have to explain to someone exactly how to do it. So I would say on average, it takes me about maybe 5 minutes to make one of these bows. And I don't know, they look kind of cool. Kind of my thing. So now you kind of have this bow that you fluffed out, right? All right. So then all you're going to do then is you're going to take it, and you've got your little, you know, you've got your ribbon that it's tied to, and you just take it and feed it underneath, you know, what you've already done here with the present. Just tie it in a double knot here attached to it. And then you'll trim the other ribbon in so that you can't see it. And then when you're done, it kind of looks like this. You also you can either leave the ribbon edges like a straight edge, or you can also take them and you can fold it in half like this. And you start at the bottom corner and you cut a triangle into it. You know, and then, hang on one second. This ribbon is super slippery, so it's a lot harder to kind of measure that cool angle thing out. So then you would make it kind of more of that, you know, pointed edge. Or you can just leave it straight. Another thing I like to do is just do diagonal from corner to the edge. Just kind of cut it. All right, so then when you're done, then you've got this big, awesome, beautiful package. Like I said, I would trim those out so you couldn't see it. And then it looks really cool. And under the tree it goes. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to private message me. I'll try to walk you through it. Thanks.